What's in it and who will it help? Now, look, this is $10,000 of student debt relief if you didn't receive Pell Grants and you're earning less than $125,000 a year. If you went to college and you received Pell Grants, right, these are low-income students, it's $20,000, trying to address inequality here in this relief. The forgiveness applies only if you're earning less than $125,000, and the student loan pause that has been since the pandemic, that will be done at the end of December. So January 1st, if you have student loans, you're going to have to start making those payments here again. So this is going to affect something like 20 million people will now have a zero balance on their student loans. 20 million people, 43 million people overall qualify in some way for all of this.
Yeah, a huge percentage of people who hold student debt have $20,000 or less.
That's right. And so immediately this is breathing space in the budget for those people.
And when you talk about Pell Grants, again, people who have Pell Grants, everyone who has a Pell Grant knows they have a Pell Grant.
Yeah.
First of all, people who don't may not know what it is, but it helps lower income people specifically pay for college roughly $60,000 or less, correct?
That's absolutely right. So that's trying to address the fact that a lot of people with student loan debt are middle class Americans, right? And so you want to make sure that you're helping people in the lower end of the income ladder too.
Okay, who doesn't this help?
Well, this doesn't help anybody who went to a state school and paid for all of it, anybody who paid off all of their student loan debt, or, as many people have criticized, people who couldn't afford to go to college in the first place and didn't and chose a different path. And there are some who are saying that's taxpayers basically subsidizing people who are rich enough to go to college in the first place. You know, Mitch McConnell made this point. He called it student loan socialism. And you've heard from some Republicans and a few Democrats that it's just not fair, a slap in the face to every family who sacrificed to save for college, every graduate who paid their debt, and every American who chose a certain career path or volunteered to serve their armed forces in order to avoid taking on debt. The policy is astonishingly unfair. That's what Mitch McConnell says. There are others who criticize it, saying it will be inflationary. Goldman Sachs out with a big report this morning. A lot of other economists saying in the long term, it might be a little bit or maybe a wash. Remember, Joe Biden made this promise before inflation was a real problem. There is something to be said for starting those student loan payments again in January. That'll take a little money out of people's budgets. That could be counter-inflationary. We'll have to wait and see. The most important thing about this was getting some of that debt off the books of young people who are being held back by it.
And if we get, for one moment, there's a ton of student debt out there. Student debt is the second highest amount of debt after mortgages, correct?
That's right. And you know why? It's because it costs so much to go to college. This does not address the root of the problem. And this is a very big problem in the American economy. We have just now forgiven a whole bunch of student loan debt, which is going to help people get some breathing space, as I said, in their budgets. But the winners are the colleges that just keep raising tuition again and again and again. You know, we know the value of a college degree is so important. We know you make so much more money over the course of your working lifetime if you have a college degree. We push for kids to get college degrees if it's appropriate for them. And we allow them to take on sometimes debt that it would be almost physically impossible to pay back, especially people who go on to graduate school.
This doesn't do anything to get the colleges to figure out their problem with this exploding tuition cost. I understand. I read this morning that the website for the federal loans, it broke down because so many people were checking. Is it clear yet how people find out how they get this money or get forgiven for this money?
So even young people around here are signing up for these alerts from the Department of Education so that they can find out, get any update about when this is going to happen. They're going to have to roll out some kind of a portal soon. They're telling people to go talk to your loan servicer, find out, do you have private loans? Do you have public loans or, federal loans? Figure out what your loan package looks like so you can see what needs to be forgiven and where you are. But you need to really be aware that you're going to start paying payments again in January after several years of not paying any payments. That's something that people need to start getting set up.